Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vandy back with another Card Fight Vanguard deck profile. If you guys enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to Patreon. Once we get started, shall we? Today we have Baromagnes, set 40. Okay, so Baromagnes is an interesting deck, to say the least. I don't know why. Set 1, it felt fine. Set 2, didn't really feel as good, but it didn't feel bad either. Set 3, yeah, I say a lot of decks got worse in set 3, and obviously, like, they got better because they all got support, more or less, but then, like, in terms of how they felt like they got worse, at least in my opinion, and set 4. Set 4, they got some good cards, I'll admit to that, but the good cards don't feel good in Baromagnes. I don't know how to say it, they just don't feel amazing is what I'm trying to say here, I guess. Like, they're amazing, it's just that they don't feel it, you know? Like, you know something's good, but then you can't tell. It's kind of like, you know the feeling. I can't really think of a way to explain. So let's go ahead and get this deck started, shall we? First up, we have our starter, an Uncanny Burning. 6k base, grade 0, boost, 5k shield, auto, when wrote upon. If you went second, draw a card. Nothing too special about it. Standard starter. You run this because, let's be fair, you want to run the Baromagnes ride line, even though this thing looks completely out of place when all the other ones have like a dark aspect to them, and this one's the only one that has like a really light aspect considering it's green. I never understood why they made this light green. I still don't to this day, but hopefully like lore behind it explains it. Even let's be fair, I'm not going to fucking read the lore, I know myself, I'm never going to do that, but I'm just disappointed that it's kind of really different from the other ones. Trigger-wise, run 1 over trigger, and Hades Dragon Deity of Resentment, Gallmageheld. Grade 0, boost, 50k shield, 5k power, over trigger. You may only have 1 over trigger deck, reveals a trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose one of your units, plus melee for the turn. If revealed during your draft check, activate additional effect, which is additional effect. You get, during your turn, all your vanguards get plus 10k and plus 1 critical until end of fight. So, you get the 1 million to draw regardless if you damage check it or drive check it, which means it's either really good offensively or really good defensively. But if you drive check it early, hopefully, your Vanguard's a permanent plus 10 and a crit, which means they actively have to guard the Vanguard. And if you drive check later, okay, it still holds prowess to late game, but not super much prowess. Now, people do argue you don't need this because Baromagnes' second skill of having 10 soul literally does the exact same. Is it 10? No, wait. Yes, no, it's 10 soul that gets the same exact thing out of it. The reason why I choose to run this over Albari is, 1, it is a Dark States deck, might as well run the Dark States over trigger. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to work without Albari. Yes, Albari, in my opinion, does work better because giving 1 million to 2 units is good. But the thing with this is, you want more pressure on the Vanguard. The rear guard's already hit for good numbers for me. Like, I don't want them to hit into the millions because at that point it feels kind of just like overkill, considering typically whenever I swing with my rear guards, they force out enough hand cards to the point where I'm satisfied with the amount. Now, this is obviously not like, okay, it can't do better. I just don't want it to swing for millions and then my opponent is unable to do anything about it. It kind of takes the fun out of it for me. I'd rather swing with units and then lose the next turn because of that decision than not have a next turn in general because it would be boring without it. And Gallmageheld is just really nice because I like focusing on Vanguard attacks, and Gallmageheld does that. So 1 copy of the Overtrigger. Draw triggers. We run 2 copies of Rouse, Wildmaster Riley, 4k base, 5k shield, grade 0 with boost. Draw trigger, continue guard circle. If your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 guard, gets plus 5k shield. Yes, I still run draws, not too many of them because you don't want to overdraw your deck, but you still want to have some draws to get hand cards out. So, and the 10k shield helps. 2 copies of the regular front, Huckle Hustle. The reason why you run front, get more power to front row, just to make them hit slightly bigger. If you're wondering why I don't run Diablos, I forgot what her name was. I think, nope, I still don't remember her name, but the front trigger that has a 20k shield. Here's why. We all know about this by now, and if you don't, then I'm assuming you're new. I don't like to run archetypal cards outside of their deck. For example, I do not run Diablos cards outside of a Diablos deck. What is the front trigger that has a 20k shield? A Diablos card. Is this a Diablos deck? No. So does it go in this deck? Also no. So it's my thing. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. Please don't do that if you're a smart person. I choose to do this. It works for me. Don't do it if it doesn't work for you. Then we have our critical triggers. We have 3 copies of Flinty Slasher, and 4 copies of Steam Deviate Dragon. Grade 0, boost 15k shield, 4k base, critical trigger, auto rear at the end of the battle that it boosted. Put to soul, choose one of your units, it gets plus 2 for the turn. Oh, that ability, get you a free soul, get you plus 2, it's so useful. Oh wait, I never use it right. Yeah, no, this is effectively useless to me, because I never use that ability ever. I've never called, well, okay, that's a lie. I have called it to rear guard, not in this deck unless I've called it once to rear guard, but I had to, and it was more to swing than boost, so, you know, it couldn't even go off, followed by, like, I never like to call it a rear because I prefer the critical shield. I have called Flinty Slasher more times than I've called this thing to rear guard. That is partially coincidence, but is also partially not, so, plus I always forget to use the skill, even if I do boost with them, so, you know, it's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad card, it's just that it doesn't work for me. I stand by my statement before where I say I hate these critical triggers, because only one game since they've been released have they actually done something useful for me, and I still lost that game. The only thing they did was prolong the inevitable. So, for Steam Deviate, I guess, I'd still run 7 crits, but because the other crit's a Diablo's card once more, kind of forcing myself to run Steam Deviate here. And then we have our heal in Steam Scara Mal-Nigal. Just standard heal, nothing special about it, but obviously we can see it has the breastises. Anyways, yes, that's not important. On to grade 1s. First up, we run 2 copies of our normal order, Brother Soul. Just Soul Charge 2. It is that simple. You play it, you Soul Charge 2. There's no cost to it. There is no requirements. There's no, your Vanguard has to be a grade 1. It has to be on a middle of the sunny day of March 21st at 6:31 p.m., 39 seconds into it, and your opponent has to be a white female with a nose that rivals Doofenshmirtz and big furry eyebrows. There's no bullshit condition to it. Why the fuck did I think that would be a condition is beyond me. It's just a free Soul Charge 2. And it's really helpful because it can get you out of certain bind situations where you need that little bit of extra soul for free. So 2 copies. 2 copies of our next card, Violet Phantasm Butterfly Fanju, our first grade 1 normal unit. Grade 1 boost, 5k base, 8k base, 5k shield. Auto when it's placed on rearguard circle if you have 5 or more units. Yeah, obviously that's meant for premium, but because you're not going to get 5 or more units in this deck, but you're going to get 5 at least. Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 3. Then if your soul is 10 or more cards, choose one of your Vanguards plus 5 for the turn. Okay, here's where you run this. You run it for the Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 3, because that's really good, and the 5k also helps. But the fact you have to have 5 units makes this really hard to pull off. Thankfully, Baromagnes can either shove all of them to soul, so you're not really losing anything out of it. I mean, you're losing a board, but you're getting power out of it. Or you just play this and hope to like hit Soul Charge 3. Basically, that Soul Charge 3 has helped me get to 15 soul, and then I don't really lose my board via my opponent because I just send my board to soul and I send their board to soul. So, you know, Fanju's always been helpful. Even though I run her at 2, she'll show up. You know, I don't think she's something you should run at 4 considering its condition, but I do think it's something you should run at 2 just because it can be helpful. So 2 copies. 4 copies of our PG, Recusal Hate Dragon, 6k base, grade 1 boost, 0 shield. Continue Sentinel, you have 4 Sentinels in your deck, and auto is placed on guard circle. Choose one of your units, it cannot be until the battle. If your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from your hand, discard it. Now, you know what that means. If this and only one of the card is in your hand when you would place it on guard circle, you don't have to discard for it. This is a good PG, you do want it, but and I know that TCG player, or not TCG player, but like all these PGs have become either expensive or unbuyable, you can use the trial deck PG. That's always a thing. I don't understand why people think that I feel like I'm calling someone out right now, but I genuinely am not, just the way it's sounding. I don't know why people think that they can't run the PG and it will make the deck worse. I'm sorry, that's not how that works. I mean, yes, technically that is how that works, but not really. Trust me, with the amount of times these PG interaction happens where that discard effect actually makes a difference, or like where I've experienced it makes a difference, is rare as shit. I have played like thousands upon thousands. I am slightly over-exaggerating, but I'm also slightly not over-exaggerating. I have played somewhere in like thousands of overdressed games at this point, and that PG interaction has gone off and actually has a point in the game a grand total of 30 times out of those thousands, or like somewhere in the 30s. So, you know, it's comparatively not that much. Like, and that's my playstyle, by the way. Now, if your playstyle is like really aggressive, okay, maybe you need the PGs, but if your playstyle is more conservative and you don't need to go aggressive, don't waste $8 or $10 or some ungodly amount of money on a PG you don't need. Just buy the trial deck PG. It's 25 cents. It has more base power. It can help you hit magic numbers slightly easier. don't buy this. If you don't need it, don't buy it. You do not need it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. Just get the Psychic Prima and no one will judge you for it. If someone judges you for it, they're either an asshole or they don't know how pricing works and they're a rich bastard. So 4 copies of Rescue H.I. I feel like I just called out the entirety of anyone who actually owns these cards. I didn't mean that in an offensive way. I'm just making a point, I swear. And then because I don't even own them. But next up we have our last grade 1 in our grade 1 of the ride line. 3 copies in the main deck, 1 copy in the ride deck of Deep Sonicer. Grade 1, boost, 5k shield, 8k base. It has such a cool galaxy theme to it, and unfortunately all of them like change their theme for it. Auto when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, Soul Charge 1. Sucks that's a mandatory Soul Charge, but okay. And it continues rear guard during your turn. If your soul has 10 or more cards, it gets plus 10. 18k Swinger, who can get you a free Soul Charge. Cool. That's actually really good. Like, this thing is genuinely like one of my finishers because, you know, you use Baromagnes, call 2 of them out. They're both at 38k. I mean, not 38, 28, and then you pull a trigger. One of them goes to either 38 or you have a Persona right on them. They're both at 38, and if you pull a front trigger, 48. Yeah, these boys hit numbers. You run 3 of them in the main deck to hit at least one of them in soul, and then you run in the ride deck because one of them's going to hit soul at least from that ability. So, yeah, this thing's a good card. Grade 2s. 4 copies of Steam Mage Ashur-da. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base, continuous guard circle. If your soul has 7 or more cards, this unit gets plus 5k shield. Cool, 10k shield. Not that special, but okay. And auto is retired from guard circle. You may put this card to soul. Okay, he nets you a soul. That's fine. And his shield value is really easy to go off. Here's the downside of him, or at least my downside with him. He never comes to my hand after grade 3 where I actually have 7 or more cards in soul. But the only time he shows up is when I'm at grade 2 when I do not have 7 or more cards in soul. So Ashur-da, if I may ask, what is your problem with me? Why are you not showing up when I need you to? Why have you abandoned? What did I do to you? And this wasn't after, this was like the first time I saw. I don't know why it hates me, but it does apparently. So 4 copies of Ashur-da, just because it's a 10k shield that can go to soul. But you know, it's only useful if it ends up in hand. Or I guess you can intercept with it. Screw you, Ashur-da. I don't like you, you don't like me. I've tried working with you, you still hate me. 4 of our new grade 2 triple rare. Cutting Sword Dance Chegra, or Chegra. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept. I do love its art though. Auto when is placed on rear guard. Perform all the following effects according to the number of cards in your soul. 7 or more. Counterboss 1, discard 1. Choose a card from your soul. Put it to hand and soul charge 1. Okay. You know, you counterblast 1 to get a soul card to hand, and then you soul charge to replace it. Yeah, that's fine. And then 13 or more, all your front row get plus 5 for the turn. So it's like Phantasmagoria boy. Yeah, okay, I guess. I don't know, like, I've seen some people do some pretty crazy combos with this. Maybe it's just how I play it, but this thing never really does much for me. Like, I prefer to use my Counterblast on Barrow, and while I do run Selfish Engraver literally at the 4 of, I don't know, like, this thing has just not been comfortable using. Like, it's weird, like when I play it down and I use its skill, it feels like it's not doing much and it feels like it's hurting me more than helping me, and I've still won, but I don't think it's because I've used his skill at all. And maybe it is, but I don't know, this card feels weird to me. It has a good skill behind it because it gets like a half Persona ride out of it if you place it with 13 or more soul, but he just feels weird to me. I still run him at a 4 because I know he's gonna do something useful one of these days. I just don't know when that day is, so 4 of to him. 4 of, literally the MVP of this deck, Selfish Engraver. I'm not even, seriously, it may not be the MVP for, like, other people's decks, but straight up, this thing has been the MVP ever since I built Barrel. Like, this thing's always on the board, it is always fixing my counterboss issue. Straight up, MVP, 4 of, I don't even need to explain its skill, but to those of, plebeians, joking, I don't think of people as plebeians who don't know its skill. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto rear guard, when an attack hits, soul charge 1. Okay, can hit a rear guard, and can hit a vanguard. You can just use this as a strategy, take the attack, and boom, you're slowly decking them out. And auto rear at the end of the battle of the attack, if your soul has 10 or more cards, shove to soul, counter charge 1. Get that counter charge, get that soul, swing, add on hit pressure. Boy, and if that wasn't enough for you, we got a giant slithery snake trying to devour the moon in a castle over here with some thick lady boy over here. I don't know why I had to do that. I don't know. Can we erase that? Cut! History, please? Yeah, Selfish Engraver. Good card. MVP. Literally the sole reason why this deck is capable of doing half the shit it is. It may be just my build, but I think that is genuinely the case. MVP. 4 of. No questions asked. And then our last grade 2 is our main grade 2. 2 of in the main deck, 1 of in the right deck of Electro Spartan. Grade 2, Intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. You know, normally I'm biased towards the moon, but this time I'm biased against this card just because, like, I hate how he looks. I hate this castle in the background. Not even the moon fixes. I even hate how they shaded this moon. They ruined this card. This card doesn't deserve to exist. Let's just delete it. Let's just vanish, delete. Here. I'm not going to go through the... there was something I want to do as a bit, but it's going to take a little bit to set it up. I don't feel like doing it. So auto win is wrote upon by Master of Gravity Baromagnes. Put a hand card to soul, draw a card, and soul charge 1. Guys, you were so close with that skill. You made the grade 1, I required the grade 2. Why'd you make the grade 2 require the grade 3? Yeah, get you 2 soul, but you also have to send a hand card to soul. And I know I'm not the only one who has to always have to sack something they don't want to sack. Because I've seen plenty of people have to send something to soul they don't want to send to soul, and they get something that's not as good out of it. What I mean by that is like something you don't want, but it is something you need in the late game that has always seemed to help people. But this thing in my mind gives you the thing you need, but very much not the thing you want at the moment in replacement for what you actually want. And then auto was placed on rear guard, counterblast 1, soul charge 2. Yeah, spam that in the other game, combine with Selfish Engraver, get some counter charges, get a rush out. Pretty good. It does something on rear. Its Vanguard ability is met to me. 2 of in the main deck, 1 of in the right deck. Grade 3s. 2 copies of our Heart Haze Rupture. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Persona Right, 13k base. Act, rear guard, once per turn. If your Vanguard is Master of Gravity, Baromagnes, put a card from your hand to soul, and all your front row units get +5 for the turn. If your soul has 10 or more cards, they get +10 instead of +5. So this is a Persona Ride. This is literally a Persona Ride. It just gives you a free Persona Ride. Cool. That's cool. Really easy to abuse. Unfortunately, with how Barrow works, only the units beforehand get the +10, but the good news is Barrow still gets to keep the +10, and because of Barrow's skill, even when you send the stuff to soul and call new stuff out, those units are going to get a different +10. So if you combine with a Persona Ride, both sides are getting +20, or you just use the ability alone, both sides are getting at least +10 out of it. So Rupture does help. It helps the earlier half of the attack swings, because they're not going to get triggers from Barrow. So, 2 copies of her, because she can actually help, and she doesn't cost Counterblast or Soul Blast to use her skill. So 2 copies. And then 4 copies, 1 in the main deck and 3 in the right... Sorry, 3 in the main deck, 1 in the right deck. Ignore what the fuck I was saying. Of our last unit in the deck and our last card in the deck of Master of Gravity, Baromagnes on main grade 3. To grade 3, Twin Drive, Persona Right, 13k base, Auto Van when it attacks, Counterblast 1, perform all the following, if equal to the number of cards in soul. 5 or more, draw a card, 10 or more, gets +10k in a crit till the end of battle. 15 or more, put both you and your opponent's rear guards into your souls, all of them. Choose up to 2 cards from your soul, call in the rear guard circle, and those units get +10 for the turn. So let's unpack that. It has 1 skill, but it has 3 sub-skills involved in that. When it swings, you get a draw out of it. It's really easy to hit 5 soul in the deck, because let's go over it. You do your starter, right? Okay, you got your starter right here. It doesn't matter if you go second or first. You ride, where is it? You ride Deep Sonicer. Cool. You get 1 soul out of it. Skill Deep Sonicer. Soul charge again. So you got 2 soul. Okay, next turn. You ride Electro Spartan. Now you have 3 soul. You ride Barrow. If you use Spartan skill, you get 2 soul charges off it. 1 from sending a card to hand, from a hand card to soul, and then soul charging 1. So you automatically will get that draw if you use all their skills. So that's good, because you get a draw out of it. And that draw always helps people, and it doesn't have to swing into a Vanguard for it to go off, which is really nice. +10 to crit. Okay. So that's pretty good for the early game, especially because you can combine it with the Overtrigger to get like 33 triple critical, which is really good. I don't know why. After set 1, I haven't been able to see the Overtrigger in this deck. I don't know if this deck hates me now or something, but fair enough. And then 15 or more. The thing that's really easy to achieve, just nuke both players' boards, send them all to soul. And then what I like to do is I like to call 2 Selfish Engravers in the early game to get back my Counterblast. And then in the late game, when I think it's final turn, that's when I'll call the Deep Sonicers to kill. Because I don't want to, call them early and then waste my resources for later. So Barrow can make numbers really big, can put pressure for himself, get you hand cards, all from 1 skill. That's pretty good. I do wish he had 1 other skill. Maybe it would be like Soul Blast 1, Soul Charge 2. Fair exchange. Or like put a hand card to Soul. Just to, kill an opponent's rear guard. I feel like that would be a fair exchange. But either way, I do like this card. Master of Gravity Baromagnes is amazing. Get your hand, get your crits, get your power, and can get you a board. Or technically not get you a board, but get you 2 more attacks. So 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the right deck. And that's pretty much it for the deck. So I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, this deck has been fun playing. Like, it definitely works well it gets like I said earlier, it gets you everything you kind of need, and it's not that difficult to use. It has its own experience to them. They have the free Persona Red Getter. They have the MVP. They have this thing which has yet to prove use to me, but will eventually prove use to me. We have the thing that I hate. We have the thing that will win me the game. And then we have the Soul Charge 3 for 5 units. So all around, this deck has, its own utility to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, join Discord, follow the Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.